I'm definitely ready for this. I'm all sorts of ready. Maybe. Hold on, let me get a beer. All right. All right. Hello. All right. So we got a summoning salt video. So this video released while I was still bowling on my usual Tuesday league. And I figured I might as well get it in while it's still early, you know. My cats are all over my lap because I said hello to them very briefly when I walked in the door because I really wanted to get in on this. Oh, whoops. I accidentally hit up. Yeah. So I got Sasha on my lap right now, who's got herself tangled up in my cords because she loves doing that. Fucking masochist. There you go. There you go. Good girl. All right. How we doing today? Everything good? I hope so. All right. I gave Sasha her pats. She'll be up later. Just waiting for people to pile on in here so I can get started. I've been very curious about how Spyro world records have actually been going. I've been watching people speedrun Spyro, but not going for world record, just speedrunning it in their own downtime. So I've been very curious on how this actually works. Like, what did they do to speedrun this? I'm very, very curious. I'm sure you guys are too. Maybe. I don't know. I've been doing this for 10 years and I don't even know my own audience. All right. Shall we get started then? I'm also not sure about that because my chat's usually empty the minute I start. There we go. Okay, I think I'm ready to go. I've waited for like 5 minutes. All right. Hi, YouTube.
Spyro is a game.
Yeah, hi, YouTube, indeed. I don't even have the right fucking... Okay, there we go.
Spyro is a game that millions around the world grew up playing. The game simply radiates.
Why is there an echo? Why is there a fucking echo? What the fuck? My PC is echoing. What is this? Why is my PC echoing? Do I have... I don't want to wear a headset. I'm sick of it. Fucking hell. Fine. Wear a goddamn fuck-ass headset. So sick of covering my ears, man. I just want to be free. I don't know where that echo came from. Don't ask. I literally don't know.
Spyro is a game that millions.
It's echoing still. Why is it echoing still? What is happening? Is this part of the video? No, it's not in the comments at all. Why is it echoing? Why? I don't get it. I don't even have another window open for it to echo off of. I don't know why it's echoing. It's so strange to me. Hey, Donkey. Give me a minute. I'm solving some technical issues. And I don't even know how or why I have them in the first place. Like, I don't know. Why would it echo anyway? Yeah, I don't know. This is so weird, man. Why am I hearing it twice? Is it part of the video?
Millions around the world grew up playing. The game simply radiates nostalgia, with its mystical worlds and creative levels. But today, I want to take you back to just 3 months after its original release. In December 1990.
What the fuck? Do you have a stream chat window open with the audio on? No! This is the only window I have open on the internet. And there's nothing else open, so I don't know what's causing it. I've never had this problem before. everything just worked. So I'm not really sure what to change, especially when I haven't changed anything. So it's, it's very bizarre. Hold on, give me a second. I'll just close Opera and reopen it.
Spyro is.
Why is it still echoing? What is happening? Does it do it on other videos? Let me see. It is. It's doing it. It's doing it on every video. What is happening? Even live ones. To make sure OBS output isn't putting out to headphones and computer audio. How in the hell? OBS says it's using my headset, which I switched to after using my PC speakers. The microphone is the microphone. What the hell? And in the sound settings, it says I'm using my headset. This is entirely new to me. I don't know why this is happening. I didn't do anything. I didn't change anything. Paranormal streaming? Could be. Yeah, in my main settings, it doesn't say I'm using more than one device. What is happening? Do I have to restart my computer even though I just started? Because I'm not sure what to do. Sound. I'm using my main monitor. There's nothing else. Man, I don't know. Let me try Google. It's literally my last resort. Hopefully it works. Wait, what? There's no way, right? No, it's not that. I don't have any apps open that could do it. My microphone is in use by OBS. What is happening? Like, I can't hear myself. It's just the computer audio. I might have to restart. Do you guys mind if I restart real quick? I'm really, 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 really sorry about this. This shouldn't have happened in the first place because I didn't do anything. I'm gonna restart and then we'll watch the video.
Spyro is...
Wait, what? Is it seriously not echoing now that I changed it back to my... What? Now it's not echoing? I didn't change anything. What the fuck? Oh my god. I'm being gaslit by my own PC.
Spyro is a game that
We're
millions
fine, I
around
guess.
the world grew up playing. The game simply radiates nostalgia, with its mystical worlds and creative levels. But today, I want to take you back to just 3 months after its original release. In December 1998, Next Generation magazine interviewed the president of Universal Interactive, a man named Mark Cerny. Mark's company helped develop Spyro, and he was asked several typical questions about designing the game. But there was something very interesting that he revealed in this interview. Mark Cerny, the president of the company that made Spyro, completed the first ever speedrun of the game. Mark said the following: "I've reached and beaten Nasty Nork in 105 minutes. If anyone can beat that, please email me your time." Well, Mark, I hope that you're able to see this video, because even though it took more than 10 years to get going, your game eventually spawned a massive speedrunning scene. And although you set the first world record, future players broke the game apart like nobody could have imagined. This is the history of how they did it.
Hi, Steve.
And now a word from this video's sponsor, Rocket Money. Now, true story.
Okay. I am skipping the ad because I'm filing for bankruptcy thanks to my mom's absolutely awesome wisdom advice. Sarcasm. So seeing this when I need it the most could have been very helpful.
Premium. That's rocketmoney.com/SummoningSalt. Alright, so after the GOAT Mark Cerny, there wasn't much Spyro speedrun activity over the next decade. This isn't too surprising, since speedrunning as a whole was an obscure hobby at the time. However, this changed in 2010 with the emergence of Speed Demos Archive. SDA was a website that accepted and verified high-quality speedruns, where community members could gather to discuss their runs. Spyro was a popular topic in the early days of SDA. There were lots of posts talking about theoretical speedruns, how you'd have to route everything out. Sometimes, forum goers would casually mention how fast they beat the game, after routing a bit and doing an attempt to go fast. A couple claims from Epic Fail 7 beat Mark Cerny's time. Then, there was a speedrunning tournament where the finals involved racing to complete Spyro 1. 2 runners faced off, but the only one to finish was a speedrunner named Luke RF44. It's unclear if his time of 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 7 seconds was officially a world record. Finally, in June 2010, a group of SDA members were trying to figure out the fastest route through the game. One runner, named Laponier36, did a test run to see what sort of time he could get. His 1:13.09 was good, but had plenty of mistakes, self-admitted by Laponier. It was really just practice to see if his run was viable and how fast it could be. In the comments section of his run was a post by someone named Cotot, who had these amazing words for Laponier. To be perfectly honest with you, I think I can easily beat your time with no practice whatsoever. You really need to get your act together. Oh well, you've inspired me to beat you now, so expect an upload. This is one of the best YouTube comments I've ever read.
God damn, this dude trying to dunk on him before he even starts the game. Ooh, spicy.
And perhaps the best part about it, Cotot actually backed up his claim. Later that year, Cotot submitted his speedrun of Spyro to SDA. He was faster than Laponier by nearly 12 minutes.
Jesus! And he beat his record by 12 minutes. Dude not only barked, he flexed. God damn.
He constructed a brilliant route through the game, which he wrote about in great detail in the run comments on SDA. So, a quick overview for those who are new to Spyro. Throughout the entire game, you're trying to collect gems, rescue dragons, and recover dragon eggs. These are scattered throughout each of the game's 5 worlds. Each world contains a home world, 3 main levels, a flight level, and a boss level. You can choose which to play and which to skip, but to move to the next world, you must reach a certain amount of dragons, gems, or eggs. So, Cotot had to figure out which levels he wanted to enter, which he wanted to skip, and the optimal route for collecting just enough of each item to move through the game. By the end, you need to collect 6,000 gems, 50 dragons, and 5 eggs, with different checkpoints earlier to keep progressing through the game. The most important part is the gems. There's so many options, with literally thousands to collect across the levels and the homeworlds. To give you an idea of Cotot's strategy, let's look at how he handled the first world, Artisans.
Hold on, I'm in the wrong location. There. The dates are going to be on the bottom right, so I might as well move to the left.
Strategy, let's look at how he handled the first world, Artisans. He rescued 3 dragons in the home world, then completed the flight level, which gives 300 gems. He then entered his first main level, Town Square, and collected 4 dragons, an egg, and just over 100 gems. Cotot then entered the level Stone Hill, where he quickly got 3 more dragons to reach 10. This was enough to move to the next world, but instead of exiting the level, he stayed a while longer, collecting more gems and rescuing an 11th dragon. This is because it's often faster to collect all dragons in a level rather than entering new levels. You need 50 dragons eventually anyway, so might as well collect more in one place. He even collected 1 more dragon in the home world before finally moving to the Peacekeeper's world, with 12 dragons, 1 egg, and 460 gems. Cotot spent much more time in Peacekeepers than Artisans, as there's more gems and dragons to collect. He played all levels and eventually left Peacekeepers with 27 dragons, 2 eggs, and 1,735 gems.
I had no idea it was even that possible to get that many in one sitting, on one world. But that's just the speedrunner mindset. This is any percent, isn't it? Or do you have to beat it 100?
Still a ways to go. Next up was Magic Crafters. Cotot said this world contained his worst level of the run, Wizard Peak. He got unnecessarily hit a few times, died once, and was sloppy collecting gems. But he did collect a lot of gems in this level and the rest of the world. He reached the 5 eggs he needed, and left the world with 41 dragons and 3,544 gems. The next world was Beastmakers. It contains the infamous level Treetops, which many players struggled with as a kid. At one point, Cotot had to do a series of supercharges and then a glide to just barely make it over to an island, which contained both a dragon and about 100 gems. He couldn't afford to skip it, and he died once trying, but he did reach it on the second try.
That is a natural thing, though. It's really easy to die here. I definitely died a lot of times on the remaster in this section. Speedrunners out here finding items devs don't even know about. Yeah, and with such speed, too. Knowing that the director behind this game put the first record down, the first speed run ever down. Of course, there's going to be people out there who's going to try to beat it. You know what? I think that's what's missing on the gaming scene. People who make the game setting the speed run. You know who does that? Toys for Bob with Crash Bandicoot 4. They have dev times, which are much more stingy than the Platinum Relics. I still have not beaten Crash 4. I'll get around to it.
Later in the level, he rescued another dragon and got 300 more gems. By the time Katote finished Beastmakers, he'd gotten his 50th and final dragon. Now it was time for Dreamweavers, where he could focus solely on collecting gems. Katote entered Haunted Towers, Icy Flight, and the boss level for gems. Once he defeated Jacques, he reached 6,000. After 57.5 minutes, Katote had collected everything needed to finish the game. It was time to head to Nasty's world.
So it is 100% run. And he did this shit in less than an hour? How? I mean, we're being showed how, but you know what I'm saying. That's just fucking wild.
Thing needed to finish the game. It was time to head to Nasty's world. This world contains two main levels, Nork Cove and Twilight Harbor, and then the final fight with Nasty Nork. Katote just had to avoid any big mistakes. Both main levels contain a myriad of enemies, but he played well, never dying and taking just a few hits. Finally, in Nasty Nork, Katote chased down the thieves for the 2 keys, chased Nasty Nork himself, and platformed to the end. Game complete in 1 hour, 1 minute, and 46 seconds.
Oh wait, I'm retarded. You actually have to have 100% in order to get to Nasty Nork in the first place. I forgot that was the thing about the first one. You have to get 100% in order to get to the final boss. On 2 and 3 you didn't.
In the run description, Katote pointed out that he could have picked up more gems in the early worlds where the game is the easiest. Instead, he had balanced it more through the game, collecting the most in the middle worlds. His run went on SDA and was recognized as the world record. Many site members congratulated him, as this was by far the best speedrun the game had ever seen. But as good as it was, it didn't last very long. Lots of speedrunners were interested in Spyro, and Katote's run just gave them more motivation to try. One such runner was Crash 4. 1.
We were just talking about Crash 4 and I was about to say something until he said 1. Man, does this mean he's gonna do a fucking video on Crash 4 speedruns? I want to see that, because that game is ridiculously long for how many gems you gotta collect for 100%.
596.
There's more numbers. 41596.
We'll just call him Crash. At the very end of 2010, Crash beat Katote's run by 5 minutes, partially because of the version of the game he played. Crash played on NTSC, while Katote played on PAL. PAL has a slower frame rate and load times, and although the developers tried to compensate by making Spyro run faster, it's still 1 to 2 minutes slower than NTSC, so Crash had a built-in advantage. But that wasn't all that Crash did to save time. It was all about the routing.
Don't you find it strange that American versus not American versions of the game always differ from each other? Like, they were built to be different for each other. Why? Why can't we just all have the same game? Why did things have to change? It's so bizarre to me.
Crash front-loaded his gems, collecting more in the first 2 worlds, which let him skip things in the rest of the game. He was able to spend far less time in the levels High Caves, Wizard Peak, Treetops, and Metalhead. He didn't even bother entering Haunted Towers and Dreamweavers. This all added up to multiple minutes of time saved, leading to a final time of 56:08. And Crash wasn't done. A month later, he beat his record in a tournament race with a 55:35. And a few months later, he did it again with a 54:44, specifically playing on POW so that Kotote could compete with him. This time, he front-loaded his gems even more, collecting an extra 300 in Beastmaker so he could skip the level Jacques in Dreamweavers. Clearly, a trend was being set. Collect more gems early so you can skip levels later. Over the next few months, Crash made posts on task videos and SDA that offhandedly mentioned new times he'd set on Spyro 1, 54:23, and then a time in the 51-minute range. It's possible there were more records in between, but it seems like Crash didn't bother recording these runs because he felt he could do better. He was pulling away with the Spyro 1 record. Then, in late 2011, another top-level runner emerged, a player named Surreal. He'd been a speedrunner for a while, and since Spyro was a childhood game for him, he decided to give it a try. And perhaps more than any runner before him, Surreal did an enormous amount of research into his route. Rather than building on past runs, he essentially started from scratch and tried to create the best route possible. He developed a concept called the gem-to-time ratio. It's a way to figure out which gems are the most time efficient to collect. For instance, if I can collect 10 gems over there, but it takes 4 seconds, the gem-to-time ratio would be 2.5. Surreal tracked this through the entire run and mapped out what he felt was the optimal route for collecting gems. Surreal regularly raced on speedruns live and set several world records in the process, but he also streamed to Justin.tv, and on March 21st, 2012, he set a new record on stream with video that has survived to this day. This was a huge improvement over the last run with video footage.
Anybody remember Justin TV? God damn. That is old school.
A 48:58. How did Surreal save nearly 6 minutes? Well, 2 minutes came from NTSC versus PAL. The remaining 4 were because Surreal was built differently. He demonstrated cleaner movement throughout the whole game, which allowed him to pick up time in level after level. He shifted his gems around so that by the time he made it to Dreamweavers, he barely had any to collect. He just picked up a couple hundred in Jacques, then was off to Nasty's world. In Nork Cove, he went for a trick called a wall glide to skip a chunk of the level. While gliding, you can angle Spyro into an inclined surface, and it'll maintain his height or give him more height. Then, by landing in the water repeatedly, you can just barely make it to the ledge. It was first used in a task by Leponier, and Surreal implemented it in his run. So, a new gem route, new tricks, better gameplay, and a 48:58, miles ahead of anybody else playing Spyro. And the best part? Surreal was just getting started.
Yes, dude. It's not sub 48, but that's pretty good.
I'm trying to get myself in the speedrunning scene. I want to speedrun RE9 because I really love speedrunning Resident Evil Village, which I will come back to in due time. I want to get on the leaderboards. I really do. It's just fun. I really want to do it. 46:56. Oh, you gotta pop off.
Surreal was Spyro's first great speedrunner. Throughout 2012, he lowered the any% record over and over, streaming all of it live to his fans on Twitch. Most of his videos survived, and it's fascinating to see his gameplay evolve. Starting with his 45:46, Surreal radically changed his gem route yet again. It had long been known that the flight level in Dreamweavers was faster than the one in Artisans by about 15 seconds. However, guards are blocking the Dreamweaver's flight level, and you normally have to use the laser cannon to defeat them. But Surreal found that while rising from a jump, your momentum is preserved after getting hit, so you can get extra height and glide over the guards. This meant Surreal could switch around which flight level he played, and spend barely any time in Artisans at all.
I wonder if that works in the
new
remaster.
route, Surreal kept the records coming, and as he did, he became more and more nonchalant.
I don't
That's a
understand
world
how
record.
such a bad...
Finally, after more than a year of record improvements, Surreal got the run he was looking for on November 1st, 2012. A record filled with all the new tricks from the past several months. In Town Square, he did a tricky jump where he angled Spyro out to the side, then back toward the ledge, and finally charged to reach solid ground. Runners call it a ledge grind, and it allowed him to reach the upper area without having to go all the way around. Just
That's
before entering
crazy.
Crystal Flight in Magic Crafters, Surreal performed a trick called Boldar Skip. Normally when you rescue a dragon, a cutscene plays before you're able to move again. One potential exception is the dragon Boldar. By manipulating the camera away from him, then entering Crystal Flight from the opposite side, you can contact Boldar just before truly entering the level and be credited with rescuing him. No cutscene necessary. In Treetops, Surreal repeatedly used the supercharge ramps to reach islands early, tricks that a casual player wouldn't even think of. All these tricks and more led to a strong 4408, capping off a streak of 11 straight records from Surreal.
Wow.
He submitted the run to SDA and received positive feedback from both the site verifiers and his peers. Small mistakes made a 43-minute run seem possible, but all agreed that this was an amazing world record. By early 2013, Spyro was one of the fastest growing speed games in the world. Speedrunning as a whole was quite small, but compared to other popular games, Spyro 1 was thriving.
Spyro casuals is such a funny term to me. Well, I'm a Spyro casual. I only play it once every other year. and this day and age, I play it with the fat mod. Because why wouldn't I? He looks better that way.
So much so that just a few months after his 4408, Surreal already had 2 new competitors. The first was a player named Saboom. Saboom regularly raced Surreal in 2012, and while Surreal set the records, Saboom improved just behind him. Well, in January 2013, Saboom broke through and got the first 43 in Spyro history. Although it was streamed live to his Twitch account, the footage has since disappeared and can't be viewed today.
Oh, well, that's a fucking shame. I definitely would have liked to see it.
Live to his Twitch account, the footage has since disappeared and can't be viewed today. This was the first time in over a year that Surreal wasn't the record holder. Unsatisfied with this development, he began attempts to take back the record, and it only took him a few days. He cleaned up some mistakes from his 4408 and beat Saboom by 2 seconds, with a casual "guess I should highlight this" in the description. Surreal still had a bit of an advantage over Saboom. But I mentioned he had 2 competitors. One was Saboom, and the other was BJ. BJ is an interesting case. While Saboom clearly raced alongside Surreal and improved, BJ was more on his own, yet he improved fast. In December 2012, his personal best was over an hour. By February, he had a low 44. I don't know how he did it, but in a matter of weeks, BJ went from a noob to a world record contender. But one lesson he had to learn: it's one thing to be a contender, and it's another thing to actually break a record. On March 7th, 2013, BJ was a bit behind the record going into Beastmakers, but an excellent world pushed him up to essentially tied. Coming down the home stretch, he had only Dreamweaver's and Nasty's world remaining. He played Icy Flight, but needed a lot of gems in Jacques to reach 6,000.
Just give me all the gems. That's what I need right now.
BJ collected some gems, then glided across this gap. On the other side was a group of armored horrors. All you have to do is jump up and charge them.
Oh!
I'm sorry for blowing you guys' ears out, but what just happened?
He bonked, and the enemy knocked him off. Run over. No matter, a month later, he had an even better chance. BJ kept it close with the record through Beastmakers, then pulled ahead in Dreamweavers. He was on pace for a 43-4x with just 3 levels to go. Nork Cove and Twilight Harbor both went fine. Now it was time for Nasty Nork. Here at the start, there are 2 thieves holding keys that you must catch, one after the other. It's very important to catch them as soon as you see them. If you miss, you have to chase them down. BJ just had to make sure they didn't slip by him.
I choked. It's all over. GG.
This kept happening.
It fucking sucks that if you miss that, it's fucked. That's heartbreaking when you're on the last level, man.
Was starting to get in his head. So many world record chances that died late. Some of them were ahead of the record by several seconds. It's easy to start convincing yourself that you can't do it when this happens. But BJ stuck with it, and finally on April 16th, he finished off a 43-49.
I freaking did it. It's all over, dude. I did it. It's all over. Oh my god.
Still,
Lunar Blade is a proud Hive member for 15 months. Bub 3.
Bug 3. Hey, thank you for the 15 months.
BJ felt this was far from his best run. It was slower than many of the record paces he'd had in the past couple months, largely thanks to a slow Magic Crafters. In fact, earlier in this run, after making the mistakes, BJ admitted he wouldn't be happy with this run if it finished as the record.
Because if this ended up being world record, like, I'd be like ashamed, and I'd have to improve it anyways.
So there was still work to do. Later in April, BJ and Surreal both played more any% runs, trying for a faster time that would satisfy them. And it didn't take long to see results. Surreal struck first with a 43-43, then a week later, BJ countered with a big 43-27. This time, the run description looked different. BJ said, "This is the run that I've wanted for so long." And it was. He saved time in every world except for Peacekeepers. Sub 4330 was now a reality. Early 2013 was a period of rapid growth for Spyro speedrunning. Lots of new world records, set by many new, high-level runners. Surreal, Saboom, and BJ all emerged onto the scene quickly, and were all record contenders. But there's still one more runner I need to introduce, who started just a bit later than the other 3. His name is Tuval. Tuval had a similar origin to BJ. He began in 2013, lowered his time in the first few months, and gradually became a record contender. He'd go on to be an incredibly prolific speedrunner, most well known for discovering Gelato Beach Skip in Super Mario Sunshine. But back in 2013, he was just starting out, trying to beat the any% world record in Spyro. After several months of lowering his personal best, on May 18th, 2013, Tuval tied the world record almost to the frame.
Alright, finally I get a good run.
But it didn't make sense. Tuval's movement seemed better, and he made fewer mistakes. Why wasn't he faster? Well, one day they figured it out. Tuval was from the UK, and didn't have access to an NTSC console, so he played on emulator, which has slower load times.
What? Hold on. How does an emulator have a slower load time? I thought consoles had a longer load time. Wouldn't a PC just load that shit faster? Wow, my mind got blown today.
Tuval had tied the world record despite playing at a 30-second disadvantage. Every time he rescued a dragon, every time he entered or exited a level, Tuval lost a small amount of time. But he didn't care. He wanted the record, and nothing was going to stop him. To make up for the load difference, Tuval spent a lot of time routing the game. In fact, he enjoyed routing more than actually speedrunning. He tried to find the very best gems to collect, and while it wasn't hugely different from what other runners did, he saved time around the margins, partially cancelling out the load differences. By mid-2013, BJ and Surreal had stepped back from running the game, leaving Saboom and Tuval as the top two active runners. That summer, they took turns lowering the record further, eventually getting under 43 minutes. Videos for most of these runs were deleted. Evidence of their existence is scattered across the internet, but we know very little about the runs themselves. One thing we do know is that Saboom used a slower route than Tuval. He did the slowest flight level, Sunny Flight, in Artisans, and entered Terrace Village for a couple dragons. Since Saboom played on console, he likely would have been able to pull away from Tuval, but since he stuck to this slower route, it gave Tuval a chance to compete with him. And compete they sure did. By the time we finally have our next run with video, these two guys had battled and taken the record almost a full minute lower, a 42:43 by Tuval. The gem route had totally changed since the last record. Tuval skipped the boss level Dr. Shemp in Peacekeepers, since it takes a while and doesn't have very many gems. This saved a couple minutes, but left him with a 300 gem deficit, which he gradually made up over the next couple worlds. Beyond that, the time saves came from cleaner execution. Even a few seconds in each world can really add up. But despite the improvements, there were still areas that Tuval messed up, so he and Saboom weren't nearly done. Through the rest of 2013, they continued to compete with each other, and the records kept coming.
There we go. Oh, didn't choke.
I find it kind of hilarious that big, beefy boy with the armor just dies in one flame hit. I just gotta point that out. It didn't bother me until just now that he dies in one hit by one flame breath. That's just an oof moment, hitting the head twice. Yeah. Those fucking stairs are really tall. You gotta watch your head.
There it is. Just the 41-41, huh?
By August, the time was down to a 41:18 by Saboom. Following the pattern, it would now be Tuval's turn to take the record back. But I mentioned before that Tuval is an amazing glitch hunter. And well, in August, he made perhaps the greatest discovery in Spyro's history: Twilight Harbor Skip. At the end of the game is Nasty's world, with 3 levels: Nork Cove, Twilight Harbor, and Nasty Nork. Once you beat Nork Cove, the dragon head for Twilight Harbor opens up. Beat that level, and Nasty Nork opens up. But apparently, the developers were in a rush when making the end of the game, because although the top of the Twilight Harbor dragon is solid, the Nasty Nork dragon has no collision at the top.
What? Why would you be in a rush to make dragon heads? It's a literal fucking copy paste. You just accept the horns. Maybe. What?
This means if you can somehow get up there, you can enter Nasty Nork even if the dragon head is closed. The developers knew this and decided it was okay, because despite monumental effort, they couldn't find a way to get on top and get through. For 15 years, that system worked just fine, until Tuval came along. In August 2013, he uploaded a YouTube video called Nasty Nork Early. By standing on the open Nork Cove head, then jumping out of a flop using a technique called a boosted skitter jump, Tuval barely made it to the top where there's no collision, and through to enter Nasty Nork. It meant he skipped playing Twilight Harbor entirely, and saved nearly a full minute on the speedrun. Unfortunately, this was extremely difficult. It felt random as to how much height you got from your jump, and overall wasn't well understood. But it was clearly possible, and saved an enormous amount of time, so top runners had to go for it. They'd consistently get runs 40 minutes deep, then lose almost all of them to this one trick. It was exhausting. The few months after Twilight Harbor Skip's discovery is another fuzzy period in Spyro's history. We know that Tuval got a 41-16 in September 2013, but from October through the following January, the only known record set was a 40-37 by Saboom. It's very likely that other records were set around this time, especially because of the new skip, but there's no trace of anything. One thing we do know for sure, Twilight Harbor Skip was a massive pain. Saboom and Tuval regularly got runs deep, then had to get this near impossible trick under pressure. It was terrible. So, Tuval looked at the setup. The glitch hunter in him went into overdrive, and he said, "I know how to fix this. We need to make Twilight Harbor Skip even harder."
Harder? Can't wait for speedrunners to discover a Fat Spyro mod strat. Fat Spyro's hitboxes increased by 2%, making it easier to kill bosses. He's got those big jowls. He's got the big breath, which means more fire.
The current route in Nasty's world was to rescue the dragon, play Nork Cove, then jump from the open Twilight Harbor head directly to Nasty Nork, skipping the level. What would be really great was if you could skip all of this and go straight to Nasty Nork from the start. Well, in October 2013, Tuval found a method to do just that. But oh boy, did it make Twilight Harbor Skip look like a walk in the park. See this? This is a rat, which you can kill to replenish health. Not too interesting, unless you ask Tuval. He found that if you lure the rat to the right position, charge jump to kill it, and then race to the corner before it gets there, it can land on you and eject you into the air.
Why? Why does it do that? What the fuck is this?
You can then land on top of Nork Cove and glide straight to Nasty Nork. It's called the Rat Proxy, and it's stupidly hard.
I bet!
You need to read the rat's positioning, then have him charge into the corner, and then need to essentially weave around the side of the rat's hitbox to reach the corner in time. It's like a lottery to get the positioning just right and beat the rat to the corner, then get the proxy. When Tuval posted this, the community reaction was, "Cool, that'll never be hit in a run, but it's nice that it's possible." For a few months, it was just an oddity and nothing more. Then, Tuval found another method. It was called Coveless. Instead of using the rat, you fly around the back of the Nasty Nork dragon head, work your way up, then glide around inside. Looks pretty easy. It's not.
Tuval, you got so much time on your hands. Oh my god, dude.
You have to release charge frame perfectly to get a flop upward, then you need several frame perfect wall glides all in a row to get and maintain enough height to make it inside. It was slightly easier than the rat proxy, but not much. Tuval tried hitting it on console, and said it took him 1,000 tries. Both Coveless and the rat proxy would save 40 seconds if ever hit in a run, but they were magnitudes harder than the already difficult Twilight Harbor Skip. So improbable that they weren't even worth trying. All runners could realistically do in a run was Twilight Harbor Skip, but maybe one day, the rat proxy or Coveless would come into play. Anyway, Tuval still had work to do, and in the spring of 2014 he set 2 more records, a 40-25 and a 40-03. Most notably, he finally acquired an NTSC console and eliminated his 30-second disadvantage. Then on June 7th, Tuval broke the 40-minute barrier with a 39:46. A lot of the time save came from better movement and cleaning up small mistakes. Nothing too flashy, but this is the work you must put in if you want to set world records. Yet, since it still took him 3 tries to get Twilight Harbor Skip, Tuval had to push onward. Once again, the timeline isn't 100% clear after this, but we know that 2.5 months later, Saboom got an enormous world record improvement of 39:16. There's no video, and not much is known about the run itself, but we know that the YouTube description simply said, "no words," so this run was likely way ahead of its time. In January 2015, Tuvol beat it with a 39:12, a run where he decided to just fly into a wall in Alpine Ridge. Oh, that makes more sense. There's no collision and it's a more direct route. By now, Tuvol and Saboom had been trading the record for years, from a 43-minute run all the way to a low 39. They had separated themselves as by far the best runners of Spyro any percent. But Spyro has another main category, 120%.
Oh, I didn't even think about the other categories. I thought you had to only... Oh, right. I forgot Nasty Nork has a treasure trove after you kill him.
You must collect every single gem, dragon, and egg in the game. These two categories were on roughly equal footing, each with its own set of speedrunners. And in early 2015, 120%'s top runner decided to give any percent a try. His name was Chris LBC. Chris was the longtime record holder in 120%. He'd beaten Tuvol in mid-2014 and hadn't looked back, setting 10 records in a row and lowering the time by 2 full minutes. Across all that, he'd mostly ignored any percent, but after dominating 120%, he was ready for a new challenge. As you'd expect, he picked up any percent fast, but it was a very different run from 120%. Since you're picking and choosing what to collect, your route matters a ton, and since it's a shorter run, there's less wiggle room overall. The most frustrating part of the run for Chris was Twilight Harbor Skip, which isn't used in 120%. He developed some consistency with it just like Tuvol and Saboom, but still, Chris hated making it so far into runs just to throw most of them away. He grinded attempts like crazy, accumulating thousands of runs in just a few months. He was pretty aggressive at resetting early if he wasn't on a pace that he wanted. But thanks to his expertise in 120%, his movement was impeccable, which let him pick up time over other runners. In late 2015, Chris got on the best pace Spyro any percent had ever seen. He amassed a 30 gem lead after Beastmakers while being even with the record. Just about the only mistake was when he struggled to get an egg in Magic Crafters.
Is my fat ass always in the way of everything important? I'm literally right in front of the dude. You can't even see him. He's got a tall glass of juice in his TV tray or whatever the fuck. Sorry, I'm just gonna be in the way at all times. Might as well stay where I'm at.
After Jacques, Chris had about a 10-second lead over the 39:12 world record. But it was time for Twilight Harbor Skip. If he got this first try, he could get an incredible sub 39. Second try, and he could still break the record by a few seconds. Anything slower, and it was likely over.
Yo. What?
Oh my god, it happened.
It took him many months, but it was worth the wait.
He didn't even go in the dragon head. He just went up it and it put him in the level anyway. Man, he crushed that.
Chris broke Tuvol's record by 17 seconds. This was a near perfect run. His mistakes were extremely minimal, and there just wasn't much time save available. So naturally, Tuvol had to try and beat it. In March 2016, Tuvol got on a run that fell behind early, lots of bonks and small mistakes. He then missed the proxy at the start of Clifftown, where an enemy lands on and ejects you up to the roof. He had to die and try again. Then, Misty Bog was disastrous. At the end of the level, there's a hallway filled with enemies. It's a very inconsistent room. Sometimes you make it through unscathed, other times you take lots of damage. In this run, Tuvol got hit several times, taking 3 hits from frogs before finally dying from a Nork. It cost another 20 seconds. By the time he made it to Nasty's world, Tuvok was over a half-minute behind the record. A first-try Twilight Harbor skip wouldn't come close to saving this. The only option remaining was to try and skip both Nork Cove and Twilight Harbor. I mentioned before there were two methods for this, and the more consistent one was coveless. That's what Tuvok was going to try to go for. But it wasn't looking good. He'd spent hours practicing just to hit it once. Yet it was his only option to try and save this run.
What? Hello? Okay. Well then.
Wow. That's incredible how he got it in such short time.
There exists a scale of how hard various speedrunners pop off when they do something cool. Tuvok is pretty close to the bottom. This was the most amazing thing Spyro speedrunning had ever seen. With his back against the wall, Tuvok had hit a 1 in 1,000 trick to save a world record. His reaction? Well then, this wasn't supposed to happen. Maybe he was in shock, but the rest of the community lost their minds. Tuvok had gotten coveless in a record. The rest of the run was nothing special, big slowdowns in almost every world, but the fact alone that it had coveless made it very strong. The best hope of beating it would be to build up a huge lead without any of the mistakes that Tuvok made, then bleed most of, but not all of it, to skipping coveless. It was a long shot, even for these guys. For the next year and a half, nobody new got a sub 40, and none of the top few runners improved their times at all. There was much more focus on 120%, where the world record dropped by nearly 2 full minutes. All the while, Tuvok's 3851 remained on top in any percent. Finally, in late 2017, there was an improvement. Saboom reportedly got a 3842, but yet again the video was deleted. Still, it can't be overstated what Saboom did for Spyro speedrunning. He used strategies years ahead of his time, and when his videos were viewable, his runs almost looked like they were from the future. He did this in multiple categories across several Spyro games. Then in mid-2018, it was beaten again, this time by Chris LBC. It followed the exact blueprint from earlier. He cleaned up all of Tuvok's mistakes, gave back time from skipping coveless, and still got a nice world record of 3831. Well, really it was more than just a nice record, it was nearly perfect for the strategies used. Chris nailed everything, had no substantial mistakes, and got probably the cleanest record the game had ever seen. It was so good that it thrust Spyro Any Percent into a dormant period.
I bet.
See, the 3831 signified a run reaching its breaking point. To realistically lower the record further, coveless now had to be implemented in all runs. And there wasn't much motivation to run a category where more than 99% of runs were destined to die at the very end. All top runners agreed it wasn't worth trying, so they all stopped. In the second half of 2018, all of 2019, and through 2020, there was hardly any movement at the top of the leaderboard. Everything remained quiet. Chris, Saboom, and Tuvok all weren't budging. To break the gridlock at the top, one of two things needed to happen. Either something new had to be discovered, or a new contender had to come along. Well, as fate would have it, in late 2020, Spyro got its first new record contender in years. And he's one of the most unique speedrunning personalities I've ever encountered. His name is Deoman.
Let's go! This one's for anybody who's ever loved somebody, man! I love you! Keep chugging! Keep living! Keep loving! Oh!
Remember the pop-off scale?
That dude drinks water the way I drink water. What mouth? Just let it go down my beard. It doesn't need to go in my stomach anyway.
Well, Deo is at the complete opposite end, competing with the likes of Nifsky and VAJ. When he sets a record, he'll yell,
Yes, mother. That's right, baby. That's right. 121.52. Let's go. New world record.
give a motivational speech,
I thought it wasn't gonna happen. I thought world record. I thought Saboom was just too good.
or do something completely random.
Girl, on, pass it to me right now. Butler. Oh.
He first started watching Spyro speedruns back when he was in high school, and his true passion was 120%. He preferred the simplicity of it. You could just focus on your movement, no need to worry about gems and routing so much. But perhaps most importantly, Deo hated the idea of Twilight Harbor Skip, and the fact that it was now replaced by something even harder. He just wanted to stay away from any percent and focus on 120% where it wasn't needed. So he did. For many months, Deo grinded 120%, and in December 2020, he beat Saboom and broke the world record.
Let's go. Oh, you're over the. Let's go. New world record. Low. 1, 2. Oh!
His power level was increasing. With 120% done, the next thing Deo could conquer was any percent, but again, Coveless wasn't exactly his idea of a good time. Well, luckily for Deo Man, right around the time he broke the 120% record, there was an advancement at the end of any percent runs. It all comes back to the rat. A Spyro runner named Hopkid had long been interested in the rat proxy. He wondered if there was any way to make it more consistent.
No, he just wanted a rat Sona. That's why he was fixated on it.
As it stood, Rat Proxy was even worse than Coveless. You did a charge jump into the wall, hoped you beat the rat there, and hoped to proxy. It was far, far under a 1% trick. Well, in 2020, Hopkid found a new method that was sort of the inverse of a charge jump. You'd start with a jump, then glide in toward the rat, charge to kill it, and have the rat land on top of you. Approaching the rat's hit sphere from above and slightly in front meant it was much easier to beat it to the corner. However, it also meant you now had to wait for the rat to go into the corner. And depending on its pattern, this could be instant, could take several seconds, or could even take several minutes. Hopkid made a tutorial for his new method in mid-2020, but it was mostly ignored by any percent runners. When Deo saw this, his reaction was, and I quote, "Well, all these people are too lazy to do it in any percent, so I'll be the first." And so began Deo's quest. Hit the rat proxy in a run and break the world record. His consistency with the trick wasn't good, but it gradually got better. First 1 in 100, then 1 in 50. To practice, anytime he had a run make it there, he tried the trick until he hit it, even if it took dozens of attempts. Using this method, his consistency improved, and he occasionally had sessions as good as 1 in 10. He almost never hit it first try, but he was getting better. It all led to a run on January 19th, 2021. While Deo made plenty of mistakes in Peacekeepers and Magic Crafters, he made it all the way to Nasty's World, and finally got a first try rat proxy.
Come on, baby. This is the one. This is the one right here.
He ultimately finished with a 38:33, just 2 seconds behind the world record. Deo was officially record capable. All he had to do now was get another slightly faster run into Nasty's World and hit another rat proxy. Not too bad, right?
Stop.
What? Hey, Wax. How you doing, man?
Oh man, come on!
I like that the only option for him is if you fail the jump, Spyro must die. Just fucking drown.
Pray for me. Please pray for me. This run could either be insane or it will probably die. One of those two. So please pray for me. No, dude. That hurts. That hurts. Why don't he want me, man? Why don't this run want me, man? No! Come on, dude! Let's go. Okay, let's go. Okay, this could be a world record.
Oh, he killed it.
Let's go. New world record 38:20. Whoa! Come on, man.
There it was. Deo was now the record holder in both 120% and any percent. In this run, he was pretty close with Chris's record through Peacekeepers, but suffered a big time loss when he lost his supercharge early in high caves. He saved a bit from great movement through Beastmakers, and while he had to wait about 15 seconds on the rat, he pulled way ahead after getting the proxy. And though it seemed to be inevitable for weeks, now that it had happened, Deo couldn't believe it.
Holy moly. Hi, YouTube. Hi, YouTube.
Hello.
What up, YouTube?
After a few hours, reality set in, and after thinking on it, Deo posted a message to Discord. I'm not done. He explained that he kind of only got record because of the rat proxy, and that beyond the new trick, this was a worse run than Chris's 38-31. Speaking objectively, it's hard to disagree with that. Deo said he'd only feel good about it if he got a 37-minute run. That would be comparable to what Chris got, plus the new rat proxy. It'd truly be a better record no matter how you looked at it. Over the next few weeks, Deo scored a couple small record cuts, a 38-15 followed by a 38-14. Each one had a second try rat proxy at the end, leaving obvious room for improvement. One new strategy he used was a wall clip in Metalhead. It works like a proxy, except the enemy's hitbox is so big that it ejects you forward. It was found by Hummeldon and saves about 8 seconds.
I'm still baffled that you can go through walls in a Spyro game. And this is in 2021 that they found this. This game just does not go away. It's a good game.
These new records were nice, but not quite what Deo was looking for. On March 23rd, Deo fell behind early after missing this jump in Dry Canyon. But after that, things went really well. He gradually chipped into his deficit, so that by the time he made it to Nasty's world, he was only barely behind. And then, Deo got a first try rat proxy.
Okay, let's go.
Woo! Yeah, baby. 38:03. Come on.
A huge record and very close to his goal. But due to his big mishap in Dry Canyon, he was still a few seconds short. As great as this was, Deo didn't want to stop. He continued his stream that day, and a short while later, he got on another run.
A lot of high-level Spyro players would reset at this point. Do you think resetting got me a world record? Think about that. All right, guys, pray. Can I do the back-to-back, bro? If I get another first try rat, dude, that'd be so legendary. That would just be the best. You're kidding me. Okay.
Sub 38.
Come on, mother... The back-to-back! The back-to-back! Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I am the best there ever was. The best. Legendary. 2 world records in one day. The first 37 ever done in this game. Woo! Oh, man, I am sick.
And I'm humble.
Perhaps the greatest accomplishment in Spyro speedrunning history. A 38:03 and a 37:57 on the same day. He started as just a 120% specialist. Now, Deo was undoubtedly the game's best player, no matter the category. And he'd just broken probably the last minute barrier possible in Spyro Any %. Mission accomplished.
2 perfect rats! 2 perfect rats! Are you kidding me?
Chris, Saboom, and Tuval all weren't interested in playing anymore, and there really wasn't anyone else record capable. Even if there was, this was an optimized world record with a first try rat proxy. Deo had put it in a good spot. Top level Spyro has historically had alternating periods of activity and inactivity. After the 3757, it was inactive for about a year and a half. But in 2022, it entered a period of activity that has lasted to this day. It all started that November with the emergence of a new top-level runner, Lumi Laura.
Sounds like a
Laura
Discord
first got
name.
into Spyro speedrunning in 2020, and while she had an unassuming start, that gradually changed. When Deo got his 3757, she was down in 24th place. In early 2022, she became the 9th person to get a sub 40. Half a year later, she became the 5th person to get a 38. It was slow, methodical improvement, but it made Laura into a record contender by mid-2022. Part of the way she did this was by creating a new route nicknamed Bikeless. In high caves, there's a strat called Bike Caves, where you supercharge and then quickly run through the level collecting 104 gems. It's very difficult and historically killed a lot of runs. Laura decided to try skipping it and collect those 104 gems elsewhere, scattered through the earlier and later worlds. It actually ended up being faster and much more consistent. It meant she got many more runs to the endgame. But as we know, in the endgame is the rat, and as good as your pace is, it really doesn't matter until you get the rat proxy. In November 2022, Laura got a 38.08 with a 14-second mistake in Dreamweavers. Take out that mistake, and the run would have beaten Deo. It was clear now that Laura had what it took to break the record, but just like Deo, she had to get the rat proxy on a good pace.
This again, really? Oh, he diverted off to the left. Why?
This is exactly what Deo went through 2 years earlier. Run after run on record pace, all dead to the rat. Laura was losing faith she'd ever be able to hit it in a run.
Fucking rat.
So, in a bold move, Laura decided to go back to Coveless full time and ignore the rat proxy. Coveless was a really unlikely trick, but she wasn't getting the rat, so maybe it was worth a try. It was just a matter of getting another run to Nasty's World, which at this point she did regularly. But on March 14th, Laura got not only a good pace, but the best pace Spyro had ever seen into Nasty's World. A 35.54, way ahead of the world record. Her bikeless route was executed to perfection, and the run was virtually mistake-free. It was time to put her theory to the test. Laura was going to go for Coveless.
Come on. Okay. Alright, it's fine. We've got a chance at rat. It's rat. We got a chance at rat. That's not going in. No. Wait, we got another chance. We've got so much time. Literally got this chance. Oh my god. No. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is it. This is it. Yes! Yes!
Oh my god!
Yes! Oh my god! Oh my god!
3 years of build-up, and Laura had finally done it. And it couldn't have been a stranger run. The best pace ever seen by far, then going for and missing Covalus before backing it up with a first try rat proxy. At the end of it all was an outburst of pure emotion.
World record is 37.55 by me! By me!
The journey to break a world record sure isn't easy. It isn't straightforward, and it'll push you to your limits. But when it finally happens, the sense of accomplishment is unmatched. There were now 2 players with a sub 38, Laura and Deo, but they weren't the only record contenders. It took Laura a while to get to 37.55, several months of grinding in late 2022 and early 2023. And in that time, another new player popped up, Ashriel. Laura's slow and steady improvement to the top was the complete opposite of Ash. She began as a top-level Vortex runner in 2021, a side category of Spyro speedrunning. So by the time she took any percent more seriously in late 2022, she was able to quickly go from a 41.18 to a 39 flat, all during Laura's push for the top spot. Ash became a world record threat in a matter of weeks. Ultimately, Laura's record lasted just a few days, before Ash beat it with a 37.46. Now, in a lot of ways, this run wasn't as good as Laura's. Ash slowly bled time through Peacekeepers, had a not great Misty Bog, and missed the clip in Metalhead. But these were all fairly small mistakes, and most importantly, she got a first try rat proxy to save 30 seconds over Laura. Ash actually wrote in the description to just go watch Laura's run since it was better. But that's the power of a first try rat proxy. So, we have Laura's run, which was amazing but bled half a minute in Nasty's World, and we have Ash's run, which was much slower but had an amazing Nasty's World. Combine these 2 runs, and the result would be a sub 37.30. That was the new goal. But although they ascended the leaderboard at different speeds, Laura and Ash both arrived there at the same time, and really enjoyed competing with each other. In fact, they looked at this goal as a collaboration, not a competition. They wanted to help each other get to 37.2x. Over the spring of 2023, that's exactly what played out.
World record.
This is amazing. I love watching videos like this.
My God!
Oh, she got sub 37.30.
Dream run!
After weeks of back and forth, Laura got her self-described dream run. Time losses were very minimal, getting stuck on a wall in night flight, missing gems in Misty Bog, some small movement mistakes, all adding up to just a handful of seconds across a more than half-hour speed run. Laura and Ash had worked together to take the run to this point, and while Laura had crossed the finish line, they both deserved the credit. This was a good spot to let the record rest for a while. It was sub 37.30, a nice round milestone, and speedrunners like round milestones. All in all, a fantastic world record. But speedrunners are constantly looking for something new. A faster trick, a more consistent setup, a once optimized record can instantly become subpar. Depending on what's discovered, someone can wreak havoc just by discovering a new strategy. Laura's 37.27 lasted for a few months, but in mid-2023, a player named Days Bagabones came along. Mr. Bagabones discovered a couple new tricks in rapid succession. First, the long back rat, a method to force the rat to the corner without relying so much on its pattern. This was absolutely huge for consistency. You line yourself up in front of the rat so that the hitboxes are just barely touching, then press square for exactly 2 frames to kill it, and hold left or right so the rat drags you along with it to the corner. This is called getting surfed. There are many variations of the long back rat depending on the rat's starting position. So although a ton of RNG was taken out, the trade-off was having to learn a seemingly endless amount of small adjustments. But boy was it worth it. With practice, top-level runners are able to get the long back rat about a third of the time. Long gone are the days of 1 in 1,000 lottery tickets. The long back rat means any deep pace has a good chance.
Okay. That's just ridiculous that a small creature can just be treated like a surfboard instead of just killing it and getting the... I thought killing it and getting the bounce off of its dead body was ludicrous, but now you don't even have to kill the rat, you just skate on it. These older games have a lot of mysterious jank in them, after all, don't they?
The other trick Days found was Nestor Skip. At the very start of the game is a dragon named Nestor, literally right in front of you. Runners didn't collect him because he's the only dragon in the entire game where you can't skip his dialogue. At least, you couldn't until Days Bag of Bones came along. By perfectly timing and positioning a flop, you can get stuck on top of his hitbox. The game auto-kills Spyro after a few seconds, and the cutscene never plays despite collecting the dragon. It's an extremely difficult quadruple frame perfect trick, with timings all over the place. In most attempts, you would reach the top but just fall off after a moment. It was initially viewed as unviable for runs, but gradually any percent players warmed up to it. It saves about 7 seconds, and runners had to individually decide if that was enough to grind this over and over again at the start of runs. Between Nestor Skip and the long back rat, Days Bag of Bones had breathed new life into Spyro speedrunning. A sentence that's never been spoken before. With new strategies come new records. In the fall of 2023, Laura and Ash took turns lowering the world record another 10 seconds. Laura chose to do Nestor Skip while Ash did not, and ultimately that did give Laura a bit of an advantage. By the end of 2023, her 37:19 remained as the world record. We've seen a lot from Laura and Ash lately, but there was one contender who'd been uncharacteristically quiet over the past few years. Deo Man. Deo hadn't touched any percent since 2021. He'd put all of his focus into 120%. In 2023, he got what he considered to be the ultimate run of the category, an hour and 20 minutes, the 120 in 120%. Once he got that, he embarked on a new quest. After all these years, could he climb the mountain again and reclaim the any percent world record? Deo had work to do. He had to learn bike lists, the long back rat, and other small optimizations. However, just like Ash, he decided to not go for Nestor Skip.
Everybody in the Spyro Discord be like, you know that route is actually not as good. Shut the f up, nerds.
It meant he got a lot of runs going, and results quickly followed. In late March 2024, Deo got PBs on back-to-back days, 37:30 and 37:28. They each had big time losses, but despite the break, his skill was clearly right back up there with his rivals. But he wasn't the only one making a push. On April 7th, Ash tied Laura's record quite literally to the frame, 37:19.233. 2 days later, she beat it by a second with a 37:18. Just as before, Ash had a knack for making quick moves in any percent. World records 48 hours apart. But the 37:18 did have mistakes, and there was still room to take it lower. It put the pressure back on Deo. In mid-April, he closed in with a 37:25, which had a death at the start of Clifftown. It would have been world record if not for that mistake. Ash countered with a 37:17 and 37:15 again just days later.
Yes. Yes.
Ashriel has a lot of space in her house. Can I have it?
As good as Deo was, Ash had a fast response every single time. She was relentless. But they were still neck and neck. Either runner had a chance at getting the dream run. On May 28th, Deo got a run that matched his PB's strong first two worlds, then started gradually pulling ahead. He entered Misty Bog, one of the hardest levels, and it went well. The good vibes kept rolling. A solid treetops, then he got the clip in Metalhead and even got a gold split. After Dreamweavers went well, this was officially the fastest run ever going into the Rat Proxy. Deo had no choice but to stay calm despite what was unfolding. This was the highest pressure attempt at the Rat Proxy of all time.
Alright, here we go.
That is such a drastic time drop. 37:03.
It didn't set in at first. Perhaps he turned off his adrenaline to try and finish the run. But the celebration ramped up over time. And we even got a classic Deo Man speech.
I was like hoping I could get in the low 37:10s, and even then I was considering putting it down at that point. This run was really something special.
This was an amazing run. So amazing that it was close to another minute barrier. There really wasn't much time to save, but if Deo could find 4 more seconds, he'd have a sub 37. Speedrunners can't resist those milestones. Deo kept going. He played all through the summer of 2024, but with such an optimized record, he struggled to get much. On August 23rd, he came really close with a 37 flat, missing the barrier by just a quarter of a second. And it didn't take long to go the rest of the way. 10 days later, Deo had another extremely close run midway through, had a sloppy Alpine Ridge to lose a few seconds, and from there was nearly flawless. A first try rat, a quick chase, and all the pop-offs that he'd suppressed came out at once.
Wow. Sub 37.
It took Deo 6 months of regular playing to get the sub 37. The community gave him his well-deserved congratulations, even his competitors who played right alongside him. This was everything he wanted, the 120 in 120% and the sub 37 in any percent. Deo's journey was complete. His only time losses were small, 1 to 2 seconds here and there. This was a run that was poised to stand as the world record for a long, long time. But in speedrunning, you just never know what to expect. It only takes one new runner, or one new strategy. Deo poured his heart and soul into this 36:58, and it was an amazing run. But it lasted as the record for just a few months. In early 2025, along came a new top runner to any percent.
This shit's been going on for over 10 years. This is like... No, wait. Yeah. Wait. I think the speedruns have... Wait. No. Wait. I think at the beginning of the video, he said that the speedruns were really ramping up in the 2015 era. So, yeah, this has been going on for a little over a decade, I think. Can't remember.
Composer. Much like Ash, Composer got their start in Vortex, getting the world record there in 2022. Vortex is a short run, where every fraction of a second matters. It requires close attention to detail, and Composer applied that idea to any percent. They wanted to squeeze every last frame out of the run, and literally programmed practice codes to grind certain tricks over and over. A consistency-first mentality seen in the world's best speedrunners, like Nitsky and Suiji. But we know how good Deo's run was, and there were no big time saves available. So to try and beat it, Composer looked for small time saves around the edges, some that they'd found and some found by others. Turning around faster in Clifftown before jumping on this roof, taking a harsher line coming out of Shemp, a faster blind turn up the magic stairs, turning around to the last gems faster in treetops. There was a lot more like this. Individually, they each saved a second or less, but combined, Composer could save several seconds over Deo. This was Composer's attention to detail in full effect. It's the small things adding up, and it worked. In January 2025, 4 months after Deo's sub 37, Composer beat it by exactly 1 second. And the community recognized that Composer had the potential to go much further. In an effort to reclaim his record, Deo came back to attempts with a brand new route called Shempless. He'd do Nestor skip and hang on to the extra dragon, then skip the boss Dr. Shemp in Peacekeepers, where he gave back the 1 dragon advantage. It saved a few seconds, and on April 25th, he got a 3657 of his own. Composer, on the other hand, tried something a little different. They wanted to switch routes, but were insistent on not doing Nestor skip. So they still skipped Dr. Shemp, but collected Ivor in Dry Canyon instead of Nestor. This is a very difficult dragon to collect fast, and uses boosted skitter jumps, just like in the old Twilight Harbor skip. But Composer preferred it over Nestor skip, and used it to get a 3643. A few days after that, they decided to randomly try Nestor skip when someone in chat suggested it, and then broke the record with a 3639.
Let's go! Let's go!
So now, they kind of had to do it going forward. Composer's final new route included Nestor skip, Ivor, and Shempless. It was a brilliant route and helped them save even more time. After another record of 3638 in July, Deo was left in the dust. The new time saves and routes were hard to keep up with, and Composer's consistency was unreal. He needed some sort of a response. And on August 6th, he got one with a 3647.
Wow.
9 seconds behind the record and still not using the new route. But a few days later, Composer improved again with a 3635. Deo just couldn't keep up. Finally, Deo decided if he was going to stand a chance, he had to commit to the new route with Ivor. It was a pain, but Composer had raised the bar. This was the only way to compete with them. But would it be enough? On August 25th, Deo fell a bit behind early, then made a mistake in Bite Caves, which was now back in the run. He then missed an egg in Wizard Peak, and had to get a backup at the end. This was a pretty big deficit now. It was time to see what this new route could do.
He's not exactly saving time. But I got better.
I tied it! Oh! I tied record! Let's go!
For the second time, Deo had tied the record. But unlike the tie from a few months ago, this was technically a couple frames faster than Composer's run. So it was officially a new world record.
Crazy.
Composer saw what
Milliseconds.
Deo had done and booted up a stream of any percent.
Composer's grinding right now. Yo, let's go. It's entire. This would kind of break my heart a little, but it would be kind of funny if Composer beat the 35 today. I could totally see that happening. By the way.
GG.
Well, at least he got a few hours of enjoyment. They made it look easy. Spyro has never seen a player like Composer. Many talented former record holders are just behind them on the leaderboard, but they struggle to keep up. And a lot of that is because of Composer's mentality. It's consistency over everything, and trying to optimize even the smallest of time saves. It may seem pointless on an individual level, but zoom out and they're able to pull time out of thin air. Over the course of a few weeks in the summer of 2025, Composer set 5 more world records in a row, going from 3630 down to 3622. The new route helped, the long back rat helped, but mostly, it was their relentless attention to detail. Composer was able to save time that simply wasn't available to other top runners. Most interesting of all was the run they got on September 25th, 2025. The run had 2 key mistakes, in the levels Treetops and Jacques. It was a hopeless situation. Unless they could bust out a trick named Fasty Nork. By unlocking the Nasty Nork key without triggering his Q to run, You can get far enough ahead of him that the game panics and teleports him straight to the end of the chase. You can then reach him with a frame-perfect jump and extremely tight positioning. Composer had no choice but to try it, and they actually hit it, saving 5 seconds at the very end, just enough to claim a new world record. This past February, Composer was in a similar spot, no choice but to try Fasty Nork.
Oh my god!
And they did it again, bringing back another run from the dead.
Holy dude!
Spyro's had so many good runners over the years, from Surreal and his dozen records in a row, to Tuval and his game-breaking discoveries, and the more recent records set by Deo, Laura, and Ash. But Composer is special. They've taken over in a way that's almost unheard of given modern competition. I've seen a lot over the years, but this is really impressive. This is how the top of the leaderboard currently looks. A pretty comfortable lead for Composer. Will they stay on top for years? Or is Mark Cerny about to make his comeback at last? Time will tell. This has been the history of Spyro World Records. Thanks for watching.
Man, what a delight. I love watching Summoning Salt's videos. He goes into such deep dives into all these speedruns. And I do hope that Crash 4 mention what is foreshadowing for a Crash 4 speedrun, because I really want to watch that. I haven't beaten Crash 4 yet. I should. I definitely need to. Because I started it last year, but I didn't finish it. And then, I'm not sure why I didn't finish it. Maybe it's because people were getting bored of watching it. I don't know. I just like playing games when there's company. Yeah, I guess that's going to do it for me. I'm actually getting kind of sleepy. Short stream. But yeah, if you guys want to recommend some more videos for me to react to, because I don't really do reactions, let me know in my Discord chat. Sorry, YouTube. Discord chats. Just my Discord is only on my Twitch. So if you want to come to my channel, you gotta follow me there. Alright, that's gonna be it for me. I'm gonna go to sleep. Man, what a fascinating video. I love speedruns. I need to practice speedrunning Resident Evil 9, though. I really want to. Because right now it's just like Dist and Spicy competing against each other for the top spot. I want to get in the top spot. That'd be fantastic. But I also have to re-download the game. I install it to make room for other shit I want to play.